Hello and welcome back once again to Belmont Bunch. Today we are talking about the New York Islanders' first round, first game one. What a great start! The game one recap of the Islanders and the Capitals in this best of seven first round series. So let's get right into it. This game was pretty interesting if you watched my video on predicting the first round, wherein I said if the Islanders stay out of the box, they're going to win this series. And the Islanders immediately were like, let's see if we can win without following his advice. And that was not a great idea early on. So I feel like I should start with the Anders Lee hit since it was pretty early on anyway. Game was chippy from the start. Anders Lee catches Nicholas Backstrom, who had just put a backhanded pass back into the Islanders zone from inside of the zone, was going around to the slot area, and had his not his head down, but wasn't looking ahead of him. And that's not blaming. I'm just painting the picture for you. Anders Lee comes in and gets him pretty late. The thing here, because this has become the storyline, for me is it's very similar to the Matheson hit on Boychuk, and the precedent set there was no suspension, maybe a fine. Although Matheson's fine actually ended up being for the high stick, not even for the Boychuk hit. So for me, Anders Lee pays the price anyway because he ends up having to fight immediately after that John Carlson in an unlikely battle of very good players. Well, more so Carlson, but so yeah, he has to fight. Fair enough. You know, if you're gonna lay the hit, you got to be willing to fight. And then he gets into a fight with Tom Wilson later in the period as well. So I mean, from my perspective, you know, I guess I'm kind of parroting Anders Lee's post-game comments, which are thought the hit was fair, maybe a little bit late, and then I, had to pay with a few fights after that. And when you go up against Tom Wilson's a better fighter than most, and well, I guess that's debatable. If he fights Reeves, I don't think he's winning. But for me, I just don't see the suspension there. Like I said, precedent was set with the Matheson hit on Boychuk, and this was somewhat similar. And to me, no suspension probably. Maybe a fine, but this would end up playing in later because of Anders Lee being involved in something. Wasted a lot of time on that. First period, just a bunch of fights, bunch of power plays for the Capitals. Islanders not following my advice at all of staying out of the box. Referees were calling it pretty tight. That's so New York there. A lot of those calls on the Islanders at first it was like, no way, and then they show the replay and be, all right, yeah, sure. The hooking on Eberle stands out. But Capitals get power play midway through, 5 minutes into the second period. Shot is blocked by Pelech. We've seen these lively boards in Toronto. Right off of Pelech's skate, off the boards around, nobody knows where it is, especially Varlamov. Oshie is right there, taps it into the empty cage for a 1-0 lead. And obviously it's a lot of bad luck, not a lot you can do about it, but stay out of the box is one of the things you can do about it. So that would be my advice. So a few minutes later, on another power play, TJ Oshie would cash in again. And this is one that at first I thought was going to be controversial. On replay, once again, referees might have gotten it right, which is the puck comes to the front of the slot. It's stopped by Varlamov on the first shot, and then I thought he had it, and you see the Capitals hacking away, and it goes in, and you see the referee pointing, and looks like it's a goal. And my first thought is, oh, that's a very slow whistle. But then they get the replay angle from inside of the goal, shows the puck is still kind of loose, so fair enough. 2-0 Capitals, 2 power play goals. They finished this game, I believe, 2 for 7 on the power play. Islanders need to get out of the box, stop committing penalties. There's a big way to stop that. Most of the game, Islanders a little bit undisciplined. Late in the second, final minute, just before the 1 minute mark, Jordan Eberle comes in, throws what seems to be a harmless wrist shot on net, and he catches Holtby moving. And I'm not sure what Holtby's doing. He wasn't really screened. It wasn't the hardest shot. He just whiffs on it with the glove hand. And he struggled a little bit against the Islanders this year with his goals against. And the goals against per game, obviously, goals against is the goalie. That'll be something to watch as the series continues. 2-1 going into the third, but now the Islanders have a lot of momentum. And by the way, Backstrom doesn't come back into this game That's a key thing. The center depth for the Capitals was lacking with no Backstrom getting hurt and Lars Eller not playing in this game. Lars Eller, who I believe is expected to play in Game 2, so that'll remedy the center depth a little bit for the Caps if Backstrom can't go. Third period, first minute, this is where Anders Lee comes back in, down in front of the goal. Is able to get the puck back to the defenseman. It's shot, I believe, by Pulock, on target. Saved by Holtby. Unfortunate for Holtby because it bounces right back up off his pads into his own defender, lands right in front of the yawning cage, and Anders Lee taps it in. So that's got to be frustrating for the Caps because it's the guy that you perceive as having laid a dirty hit earlier in the game. Now he's got a goal to tie the game. The Islanders were pushing really hard on the forecheck in this third period. Capitals didn't seem ready to play, and I think that's the Trotz edge that the Islanders had. This would be another forecheck, would lead to another goal. Islanders are on the penalty kill again, and Brock Nelson just lifts it into the zone right at Holtby. Holtby catches it. Brock is the only one basically out on the ice because the Islanders are going for a shift change. Holtby goes to play it, and Corey Schneider was just talking about this a few nights ago on one of the post games on NBCSN, and saying if you're a goalie, and you want to put it back in play, but you're not sure where, behind the net is a little bit better because not an immediate threat. Seems to be a miscommunication between him and Ovechkin, who was out there on the power play unit, and he plays it to the left, to the boards, Holtby, and now Ovechkin is scrambling. Brock gets a stick lift on him, throws it to the center, and a streaking Josh Bailey off the bench taps it in. Not the hardest shot in the world, just placed it off the post and in, and Holtby's beaten on another one. This one's less about the shot, more about the decision to play the puck. And it's 3-2 Islanders. And a few minutes later, the Islanders would get the insurance goal, because I knew they were going to need an insurance goal the way the game was going with all the penalties. The Islanders would get this through Matt Barzal, who had another chance earlier in the period on a wraparound. Barzal was skating a lot better. I think that last game against the Panthers woke him up a bit, because although before that in this game he was less noticeable, he drew what should have been a hook at the end of the second period. Referees were a little bit spotty in this one. We'll see how that goes going forward. The series is going to be a nightmare to referee. Barzal drops it back for Josh Bailey. It's a 3-on-2. Josh Bailey gets a shot off. Great save by Holtby on the initial shot. Bit my tongue. Falls back to Bailey, who then slides it across. Anthony Beauvillier taps it into the empty net. And the Islanders go up 4-2. It's 3 unanswered. And they win the game. Not the most eventful rest of the game, the last 6 or 8 minutes. And Islanders are now a game up on the Capitals. But this is how 2015 started as well. Not as theatrical, dramatic is probably a better word. Not as dramatic in terms of scoreline and also with hits and stuff, monetization. So, I guess the last thing I wanted to say is keep an eye out in the series. Hopefully nobody goes headhunting now after this Lee incident, because for me, after the game, the Capitals... I don't like to go after teams that often on this because, first of all, I don't see it a ton. But I feel like the Capitals really focusing on this hit and not focusing on the fact that they came out with nothing in the third period. And if I were the Capitals, that'd be the first thing I worry about. Maybe part of it from Reardon's perspective, Capitals coach Todd Reardon, kind of like Paul Maurice to get his troops, excited. And that worked for Winnipeg for one game. I would just focus on the fact that, you had so many power play opportunities. Ovi didn't have a great game. The Islanders not an offensive juggernaut, but you still allow the Islanders to get back in this game and win it. And the Islanders were great 5-on-5. This series, the Capitals, it's going to be interesting. They're going to be trying to draw as many penalties as possible, trying to instigate a lot of stuff after this Lee stuff. And I would look for a lot of penalties in this series. We'll see. They're probably suspension at some point, possibly. But yeah, that's my take on game one. Went on a little bit long because there was a lot to talk about in this one. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you're not an Islanders fan or a Capitals fan, I'd love to hear what you think about the hit and the repercussions of, what that hit has done. Like I said, I think the Matheson hit has drawn the blueprint for this play. It's a very similar play, and that wasn't suspended. So that's kind of where I come in on that. But let me know what you think below. We'll see you next time. Islanders play the Caps in Game 2 on Friday, and we'll be covering that. So we'll see you soon. Have a good one, enjoy the playoffs. Bye.